Hey everyone, and welcome. If you've ever dealt with data, you know that feeling. It can turn into a total mess, like real fast. Today, we're going to talk about the one thing that can bring order to that chaos: data governance. This is basically what turns a useless data swamp into a goldmine of clear, valuable insights.
And this, right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Just think about it. A marketing team is trying to figure out what customers want, but their data is full of duplicates and errors. The conclusions they come to, they're not just a little off, they're going to be fundamentally wrong.
And when that happens, you get a total breakdown of trust. If your teams can't rely on the numbers, what do? They go back to guessing, making decisions based on gut feelings instead of actual facts. Suddenly, all that money you spent on data tools, that's just gone down the drain.
So, how do we fix this? How do we build that trust back up? Well, the answer is a strategic framework called data governance. And I gotta stress, this isn't about just buying some new software. It's a whole new way of thinking about and handling data across the entire organization.
Now look at the keywords here: policies, processes, roles, and then tools. See how technology is just one piece of the puzzle? Data governance is really a complete system. It's designed to make sure your data is managed properly, both to create value and to keep it safe.
So, what does that look like in the real world? It means your data has to be accurate. It has to reflect reality. It's got to be secure, so sensitive info stays locked down. It needs to be compliant with all the big regulations, like GDPR. It has to be accessible, but only to the people who are supposed to see it. And finally, it must be auditable, meaning you can trace its history from beginning to end. These aren't just buzzwords, they're the tangible results you get when you do governance right.
To make all that happen, you need a strong foundation. Think of these as the pillars of governance. They are the essential blueprints you need to build a data house that you can actually trust.
As you can see, there are 7 main pillars holding up the whole structure. Now, they're all super important, but for today, we're going to zoom in on 4 of the real heavy hitters to see how this all works in practice.
First up, and you could argue it's the most important, is data quality. This is the absolute bedrock. Seriously, without good quality, the whole thing just crumbles. Trust in your data starts right here. Okay, but how do you actually make sure your data is high quality? Well, it's not magic. It's all about putting systematic, automated checks and balances in place every step of the way. Here are some of the most common checks you'll see. Things like getting rid of duplicates, having rules for what to do with missing values, and making sure all your formats are consistent. So that January 1st, 2024 and 01/01/2024 are treated as the exact same thing. These might seem like tiny details, but trust me, their impact on reliability is huge. All right, so once your data is clean, you need to know its story. Where did it come from? What's happened to it? That brings us to our second pillar, data lineage. This is like the biography of your data. And this is a perfect example of what that looks like. You can see the entire journey, right? From a simple CSV file, it gets ingested, then transformed, refined into a perfect gold table, and finally shows up in a dashboard. Having this map is an absolute lifesaver when you need to find a bug or audit a report. Okay, now for a pillar that tends to keep a lot of people up at night: compliance. This isn't just about doing things the right way. This is about following the law. It's a total non-negotiable in today's world.
And as you can see here, this is a global issue. You've got GDPR over in Europe, CCPA in California, HIPAA for medical data in the US. Each one has its own set of rules, and breaking them comes with some pretty serious consequences.
And what do those consequences look like? Well, they look like this. That's a 1.2 billion euro fine. That was for Meta, one single fine. This number alone tells you everything you need to know about why compliance has to be a top priority. The risk is just too big to ignore. Our fourth and final pillar for today is access control. This one is simple in theory. Make sure the right people can see the right data and nothing more. It all comes down to a simple idea called the principle of least privilege. Basically, you only give people the keys they absolutely need to do their job.
This table breaks it down perfectly. A data analyst, they probably just need to read the data so they get read-only access. A data engineer, who's building the pipelines, they need to read and write. And the data architect, managing the whole system, they get the admin keys. Simple, secure, and super effective.
So we've got the pillars, we know what they are. But how does this all fit together in a real system? Where does the governance actually happen?
And here's the key takeaway. Good governance isn't some checklist you run through at the very end. It's not a final step. It's a continuous process that is baked into every single stage of your data's lifecycle, from the moment it comes in the door to the moment it's used in a report.
Look, at the end of the day, data governance isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's not just for giant corporations. It's become an absolute necessity for any organization that wants to be truly data-driven.
And the payoff is huge. You get to make better decisions, and you can make them with confidence. You stay safe from those massive fines we talked about, your AI and analytics models are actually trustworthy, and you build a data system that can grow with you securely and sustainably.
I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. Without governance, everyone just assumes someone else is handling it. Governance creates clear ownership and accountability, making sure your data, your most valuable asset, is actually being taken care of.
And that brings us right back to where we started. It really all boils down to this one simple, powerful equation. If you want to build an organization that truly runs on data, you can't just have lots of it. You have to have data you can trust. And that trust, it all starts with governance.